Excellencies, distinguished delegates, good morning. Welcome to the 11th Asia-Pacific Forum on Sustainable Development. We will be getting underway shortly. Can I ask you to please take your seats, turn off your mobile phones, or set them to silent? Excellencies, distinguished delegates, we will be getting underway shortly, please. May I ask you to please take your seats? Excellencies, distinguished delegates, good morning. Welcome to the 11th Asia-Pacific Forum on Sustainable Development. Before we get underway, I do have one announcement. This session is held via an e-conference platform, Zoom. Kindly note that remote simultaneous interpretation of the proceedings is being provided by the United Nations for the purpose of facilitating communication in light of the fact that there are 6 official languages of the United Nations, 4 of which are used here at SCAP. Participants are requested to be mindful of the additional difficulties experienced by interpreters when working in remote mode and of the increased likelihood of disruptions to the audio feed to the interpreters. Only the speech or intervention in the original language is authentic and constitutes an authentic record of the proceedings. In case of any inconsistency between the interpretation and the speech or intervention in the original language, the latter shall prevail. In addition, interpreters servicing remote meetings cannot be held liable for interruption of service, pixelation, freezing, or loss of visual input, partial or complete loss of audio, audible artifacts, unauthorized access to personal or confidential data, leaking of information due to inadequate soundproofing and/or data loss. We thank you for your attention to these matters. Now we get underway, and may I draw your attention to the opening performance that has been prepared for this forum.
So let us now look at a video showcasing the key takeaways from the report.
The world is in the midst of a profound transition. At the 2023 SDG Summit, the global community urged action and leadership in vital transitions for a brighter future. Food, energy, digitalization, education, social protection and jobs, climate change, biodiversity and pollution. The direction we take today shapes our collective destiny. The 2024 Asia-Pacific SDG Progress Report reveals that much remains to be done. On its current trajectory, the region will not meet any of the 17 SDGs by 2030. ESCAP estimates the goals will not be achieved before 2062, a full 32 years behind schedule. A complex scenario is unfolding. While progress towards certain goals advances, for others, progress is slow, and for some, regressing. Countries continue to grapple with the impact left by the COVID-19 pandemic. Countries in special situations, especially small island developing states, face the biggest challenge. These countries need more action and our support to catch up. Countries across regions are implementing evidence-based transformative actions to support sustainable development. From conserving coastal biodiversity in the Maldives to improving skills access in Vietnam or addressing child marriage prevention in Indonesia, initiatives spanning data systems, education and social inclusion demonstrate the region has the potential to accelerate progress. Unequal availability of crucial data persists as a challenge across nations and goals. The SDGs focused on gender equality and peace, justice and strong institutions suffer from glaring data gaps, hindering accurate progress assessments. Lack of granular data on people in vulnerable situations impedes the Leave No One Behind agenda. Voluntary national reviews demonstrate countries' commitment to evidence-based SDG implementation. Since 2016, SDG indicator usage increased in Asia-Pacific. By 2023, nearly half of the region's VNR countries integrated relevant SDG indicators into their progress dashboard. Now is the time to replicate national successes, to step up climate action in the fight against inequality and to strengthen cooperation between all national and international partners. Ending our senseless war on nature must move from words to action this year. The development to-do list is not just homework, this is hope work, and action is the price of hope.
Thank you very much. I think
floor to the distinguished delegate from Lao People's Democratic Republic, to be followed by the distinguished delegate from Democratic People's Republic of Korea.
Thank you, Chair, Excellencies, distinguished delegates. It is my pleasure and privilege to have the opportunity to join the dialogue and share the view on this important topic. I strongly believe that the outcome of today's session will help lay a solid foundation for us in reinforcing the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and lead the path towards the future. Today, we are finding ourselves facing multiple crises and unprecedented global challenges, which have clearly reversed our development progress and achievement made from the last decades. Following the severe impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic in recent years, the major challenges faced by developing countries range from an increasing extreme poverty, external debt, and unjust international financial architecture to extreme natural calamities as seen in many parts of the world. Against this backdrop, as we are passing the midpoint of the 2030 agenda, many countries are still facing various obstacles, especially vulnerable groups, including LDCs, LLDCs, SIDS. It is timely and necessary for us to reflect on our progress, re-energize our collaboration, and reinvigorate our multilateral mechanism in overcoming these challenges together for peace, security, as well as sustainable development. Therefore, my delegation is of the view that collective efforts needs to be further strengthened like never before, especially in harnessing scientific and technological achievement to accelerate sustainable development and unleash new impetus for innovation-driven growth. Mr. Chair, it is evident that one of the key obstacles to SDGs implementation has always been insufficient and unpredictable financing. Therefore, building from the momentum of the SDG Summit in September last year, which highlighted that a key factor contributing to SDG attainment is mobilization of sufficient resources to address the significant development challenges we face. Consequently, there are concerted call for a more equitable and functional global financial system, as well as the SDG stimulus package, which would provide affordable long-term financing and expand contingency financing for countries in urgent need. In this context, I would like to recall the Lao PDR's strong call together with international community for turning financing framework into action. This requires a comprehensive and inclusive effort from all stakeholders to bridge the gap between policies, strategies, and implementation, ensuring the availability of necessity financing. My delegation also appeals for enhanced support and cooperation and partnership from our development partners to implement prioritized actions. These actions include finding sustainable solutions for our economic and financial challenges, taking into account our unique context and needs, especially during the transition period of LDC graduation, and aligning with our national agenda and frameworks.
Please conclude the statement.
Let me conclude by reaffirming our aspiration towards a sustainable development path and further reiterates the Lao PDR unwavering commitment to closely work with all ESCAP member states to uphold multilateral cooperation partnership in advancing the 2030 agenda with a focus on enhancing a better, sustainable, and equitable future for the next generations and the region as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you.
The shared goal of ending poverty and ensuring a sustainable future for its communities. Let's have a look at a video now for a glimpse of the key takeaways of the Partnership's 2024 report.
SCAT has a technical cooperation project on disability inclusive disaster risk reduction, in which Nepal is one of the targeted countries, and we are creating e-learning tool to that effect, and I'd like to be in touch with you later as well. So before up here, lady at the back, yes, thank you very much.
Hi everyone, my name is Bunthon Chantharamuvis. I am representing of the Alliance for Democracy in Laos. I'm from Laos, but I live in exile in Germany. I would like to speak about a problem with climate change in Laos with disability. Climate change in Laos is too much problem. Why? The human rights situation in Laos is very bad. People don't have basis of human rights, don't have basis of assembly and media. The international aid, especially from UN, for the people of disability is not enough. Why? The corruption is too much. The corruption in Laos in every level of the administration. My question of you, how can we help the people of disability in Laos? Maybe directly from the UN, from international organization directly for these people in Laos. But the government don't give help for the people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Governance is very important. I'd like to ask PT as a disability forum to unite with people in persons with disabilities in Laos. And I'd like to ask GGF after that, and then come back to FPA.
Thank you very much.
Sorry.
My name
May I?
is
Okay. Please. Yeah, Yolanda?
Yes.
Is this Yolanda?
Yes, it's me. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. I'm sorry, I will not turn on my camera because it's almost 1 a.m. I am based in Montreal, Canada.
Yes.
And
Can people hear Yolanda in this
yeah,
room?
can you hear me?
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, please
Yeah,
go on.
can you
Yeah,
hear me?
thank you. Yes.
I just want to make a very brief announcement that, well, we're offering grant fund also supported the efforts of the ASEAN.
Abir?
Thank you very much, and I congratulate again to the ASEAN Forum and UNSCAP for organizing this very important and the only side event on disability within the APFSD. Thank you very much for that. Just quickly, we have been witnessing the engagement of women and girls with disability who are not part of the disaster response, specifically facing gender-based violence, sexual harassment, and the referral and the systems are not accessible to address during the disasters. It's very important to talk about that, and we also need to review the Sendai framework. The gender gap analysis is happening these days, so it's important to include the recommendations of women and girls with disabilities on that platform as well. We have an Equal World campaign that's working all over the world, and that campaign have a specific component to address the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals. So with the UNSCAP, with the ASEAN Forum, we can collectively share those studies in the climate change and the disaster risk response. Thirdly, I want to mention, in March, the CRPD committee is going to launch the special article or the statement on the climate change and disability. So it's important to integrate that as well, because we are working on the country specific to the regional and the global perspective. So it's important to have our voices more visible, more heard, so at least we can achieve the Sustainable Development Goals in an inclusive and equal way together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, distinguished delegate from Indonesia. Now I would like to invite distinguished delegate from Laos People's Democratic Republic to be followed by the collective statement of APFSD.
Mr. Chairs, Madam Executive Secretary, distinguished delegate, at the outset I would like to reaffirm the Lao government commitment to implement the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development in the remaining period of line with its development goal and objective. I would also like to share the view that we need to redouble our effort to accelerate the SDG implementation despite impact of COVID-19 and various challenges caused by different crises. Having recognized the importance of national ownership and the follow-up mechanism, it is indeed opportune time this year for the Lao PDR to embark on the voluntary national review for the third time to assess and present its national progress made in implementing the SDG. It is also timely as the government has recently completing its midterm review of the 9th National Socio-Economic Development Plan, and together with the adoption of the Lao PDR's smooth transition strategy for LDC graduation. We view this VNR process as a vital platform to share our unique experience and valuable lessons learned from our endeavor to achieve the global sustainable development goal that align to our national development priority. Under the close guidance of the National Steering Committee, the SDG Secretary and officials kicked off the third VNR process in November 2023, and recently organized the multi-stakeholder VNR inception meeting to discuss the scope of priorities with the support and participation of the UN country team, ASCAP, and relevant partner. Taking into account our commitment to the principle of leaving no one behind, the third VNR is being developed through the series of consultation with different stakeholders at different levels, including a close collaboration with the UN agency, development partners, civil society, and private sector, among others. With that in mind, the focus of our third VNR centers on three key aspects. First, reflecting the national implementation of the 2030 Agenda and indicating steps to accelerate implementation. Second, considering where the country is in the national planning
Please
cycle
conclude your remarks.
and the alignment of national strategy and budget with the SDG. The third, highlighting the main challenges faced in implementing the SDG and providing strategy and way forward to overcome them. However, we will review the depth and of 11 SDG and align with the UN Secretary General 6 key transition. Thank you.
Thank you, distinguished delegate from Lao PDR.
My name is Dr. Bunthon Chantarabongwisa. I am the president of the Alliance for Democracy in Laos, representing Germany. We are a network, global network for human rights and democracy in Laos. I will tell about point one, right of development. The people in Laos don't have right of development. Why they don't have base of the human right? This problem. Laos is dictatorship system, you know, that is Communist Party. But now, second one is Laos have too much influence from China. The people don't have any right for assembly, for media, social media. Every international aid is only for corruption, like from UN too. It's not for the people. The corruption is every level in administration. We can tell everything about development, but this is not for the people. You heard from Michael's talk. Like too much building of the dam, too much deforestation, too much land grabbing, too much economic zone, like big casino in Laos. It's enough now. But not job for the young people. This is job for the Chinese people. They build big building, but it's not for the Lao people. It's only for Chinese people. Example. For thousands, hundreds Chinese people living now in Laos. Our land is now with big problem with our nation. This is our big problem with right of development. My question for you, how can we make every development for SDG, for right of children, for climate change to protection of climate, of every point of our SDG? That is my question for you. Thank you.
We have to go. We wanted to make one point before.
In my view. And I will encourage you to look at my vision report that I presented to the council in September last year. In that vision report, I articulated that the world needs a new planet-centered participatory model of development. There are two elements: planet-centered, it's not people-centered. Because people are selfish, all of us, including me. But if we focus on the planet and we save the trees and species and everyone, then people will be safe. So I am saying that leave no one behind should be redefined to include trees and species. Because if we leave behind animals and plants, people cannot survive. So we cannot leave behind trees and species. So I'm arguing that we need a new model of development, and of course participation is crucial to highlight some of the challenges you mentioned about the governments which are authoritarian. But now even democratic countries are behaving like authoritarian governments in Asia or world generally, you know. So I think the issue is, to me, is not merely about authoritarian versus democratic. To me, the issue is about concentration of power and misuse of that power by the party or people in power. And I think we need to challenge that. We need more bottom-up approaches of development, the model which is going to benefit locally. And I hope all of us can work together to push for those fundamental shifts in the model of development, because that will address the root causes. I mean, often I give very simple example. When I was growing up as a child in India, we knew that the fruits and vegetables have seasons. Like I eat apples in winter. Watermelon I will eat in summer. Now I go to Delhi, there is no season. I get watermelons in winter. So the entire ecosystem is disrupted because the supply chain, the supermarkets are introducing us to have those choices, and we are tempted. I think we need to think fundamentally what model of development we need. And that's why I say, do we need more bikes or battery operated cars? I think these are fundamental questions I'm raising as part of my mandate, but let us see. I can only offer ideas and solutions, but ultimately I don't have the decision-making power. But thank you for raising those issues.
Alliance for Democracy in Laos, Mrs. Jeffrey.
Southeast Asia. Our problem is the people are poorer and poorer. In our vision now, in Laos, more than 30% of people in Laos are very poor. But we have enough fiber, we have enough land for the people for 7 million. Our problem is land grabbing in Laos, too much. More than 50% of land in Laos is now for foreign investors, mostly from China, then another country. The people don't have right of land, don't have right of assembly, and don't have right of the press or social media. This is very hard for the people. How can we fighting against poverty in Laos and in Southeast Asia too? Thank you.
Thank you for the input. Actually, it's music to my ears because when I see the charts, the land rights is actually missing in the progress. Thank you.
About funding for independent CSO, especially in the country with dictatorship system. Funding for CSO is enough from international aid for Laos especially, but this financing is only for CSO organized from government. But independent NGO, they don't have anything. This is very hardly for the people, for activists. How can we make individual? How can we have international aid, international funding for CSO, maybe direct for UN, for CSO right now conference? This is future, not yesterday. I think this is theme. Maybe you can discuss this. Thank you.
เพิ่นก็ได้กล่าวว่าการมาร่วมกองประชุม SK อาเซียนแปซิฟิกอยู่ที่บางกอกครั้งนี้เนาะก็แม่นเพิ่นอยากอธิบายเรื่องVNR เนาะ VNR หรือการรายงานของแต่ละประเทศเรื่องการพัฒนาแบบพวกเราการพัฒนาเพื่อประชาธิปไตยก็ได้เข้าร่วมกองประชุมภาคกัดเกียงอยู่ที่นครหลวงจันทร์ซึ่งมีทางการสหประชาชาติทางการสงเคราะห์ลาวและองค์การปกครองกับรัฐบาลพวกเราได้เข้าร่วมตอนนั้นและปัจจุบันพวกเรามาร่วมอยู่บางกอกในการเหตุการณ์กะเกียมพวกเราได้มาพบปะกับองค์การปกครองกับรัฐบาลหลายองค์การอยู่ในอาเซียนและก็เป็นโครงการต่อไปแม่นบรรดาองค์การปกครองกับรัฐบาลหรือว่าองค์การภาคประชาชนในทั่วโลกเนาะซึ่งว่าการรายงาน VNR ของสปป.ลาวแม่นในเดือน7ปีนี้2024นี้ฉะนั้นพวกเราจะต้องได้กักเกียมซะก่อนทางการสปป.ลาว
Good evening everybody. Wow, there's a big echo there. So
เพื่อว่าใน
I'm
เดือน
get used to that.
7นี้จะได้มารายงานสภาพแวดล้อมเราพวกแม่พี่น้องพวกเรามีก่อนประชุมภาคต่อไปพวกเราจะกล่าวต่อไป
We have a lovely session.
Hello, thank you. My name is Dr. Bunthon Chantarawongwisa. I am from Laos, but I live in exile in Germany. I am representing for Alliance for Democracy in Laos. I am the president of this organization. This is independent NGO for Laos. I would like to speak about development of city in Laos. The government of the Lao PDR plan now a big project for smart city in the capital Vientiane. We are very good smart city, is very smart, but in reality it's not possible for the people. This is the too much of land grabbing of hundreds of hectares in Vientiane capital, too much of land grabbing from the people. Investor is from China. On this building for too much big building, very for Chinese people, of hundreds, of 1,000 Chinese people to sit in this city.
ข
The people in Laos don't have basis of human rights, they don't have right of assembly, they don't have right of press on social media. And now we can tell about how can we work together to build a smart city for the Lao people, for the people from this land, not for the people from outside, from China, like from Vietnam and so on. We work together with international level, but not for one nation, with dictatorship country, with our dictatorship government. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that intervention, which I think is duly noted. I don't know if we have any other intervention on the floor.
สบายดีบรรดาท่านผู้มีพี่น้องลาวทุกท่านในทั่วทุกมุมโลกอยู่ในและนอกประเทศมื้อนี้ก็เป็นวันที่22เดือนกุมภาพันธ์2024เนาะข้าพเจ้าท่านจะสุขเปอร์และคณะของการพันธมิตรที่ได้เดินทางมาเข้าร่วมกองประชุม SK 2024ที่นครหลวงบางกอกภาคที่2พวกเราจะกล่าวรายงานเรื่องVNR หรือว่าการรายงานของแต่ละประเทศเกี่ยวกับการพัฒนาแบบนิยมโดยเฉพาะใน VNR ของประเทศลาวหรือว่าสปป.ลาวปัจจุบันที่ผู้นำพรรครัฐเตรียมจะไปรายงานและพวกเราในนามองค์การบ่ขึ้นกับรัฐบาลที่เป็นองค์การจัดตั้งเอกราชในนามองค์การพันธมิตรเพื่อประชาธิปไตยในลาวมีการกล้าเคียงอย่างใดแด่ท่านจะสู้คูเปอร์เพิ่นก็จะอธิบาย
It's an honor to discuss today why the Asia Pacific Forum on Sustainable Development is so crucial. What does happen and why Alliance for Democracy for Laos is here, especially this year, is every year over 40 countries agree to a voluntary national review known as a VNR. The VNR takes place at the UN High-Level Political Forum, which usually is in mid-July. But this Asia-Pacific Forum on Sustainable Development is so crucial because there's one that takes place in all 5 regions of the world. But this is really the halftime. This is where countries come to share and give updates on how they're doing so far on the voluntary national review. And if we compare the first VNR with the second VNR of Laos, we can see some significant shifts. Number one, at the first one, Laos was not even sure how they were doing with the 17 global goals. In this second one, already, Vientiane Chen has hosted a discussion and invited all NGOs, including University of Hawaii and Alliance for Democracy in Laos, to participate prior to this week-long conference in Bangkok. What's also significant is here, people have come together and participated to make sure that the regional coordinator, the coordinator of every country, the national coordinator for the UN is participating and ensuring that civil society has a voice, that stakeholders are able to make sure they're able to submit their perspective, focusing on the 17 global goals on the ground. This is crucial, and this is the halfway point, because in July will be the actual review. Between now and July, what Alliance for Democracy in Laos will do is make sure that we participate with the NGOs, with the civil society organizations, and guarantee that their voices are heard and able to participate in the half-hour review that'll take place in July. But there'll be meetings, preparatory meetings, where all civil society will come together and draft the official statement regarding, and really even a way giving a grade to how the government's doing on the 17 global goals on the ground. So this will be quite crucial. And then the next big meeting is mid-July, where that 30-minute review will actually have the eyes of the world holding Laos in the World Court of Public Opinion to see how they're doing with these 17 global goals. What's also crucial about this meeting is the selection of SDGs. SDG number 1, no poverty. SDG number 2, zero hunger. SDG 13, climate action. And SDG 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions, plus SDG 17. The combination of 5 that are being examined at this 11th annual Asia Pacific Forum on Sustainable Development is very crucial as we bring what matters most to the global agenda to make sure that we change the direction of Laos to ensure democracy, dignity, and diplomacy going forward. Mahalo.
This is Marcus Hiese speaking here from Alliance for Democracy in Laos. We are here at the APFSD in 2024, taking place from February 20 to 23. Very important thing this time that not only the stakeholders and CSOs are here, it's also the coordinators, Joshua had mentioned before. For us, it is very important. Alliance for Democracy in Laos is the only independent CSO here, speaking for the Lao people, bringing Lao themes on the table, Lao issues on the table, and speaking it very clear and loud out. What are the problems in Laos and what are the solutions? Very interesting thing is also too, our solutions has been 100% accepted by the audience. They say, yes, we have a problem with corruption in Laos, we have a problem in the region with aggressive Chinese influence here in this region. It's not only Laos is suffering on this influence, it's also all other countries, especially the Asian countries, the Asian community. Europe has some new actions and the United States has some new actions to take more interest here, more influence in this region to tear down the Chinese influence here in this region. It's very interesting issues and things that they want to do. But the most important thing is we stay here for SDGs and very clear it is that SDG number 16 is one of the most important. That means we need justice for everything. We need an independent justice system, legal system for the people, and human rights. That's very important. Without human rights, no SDGs. The SDGs can never be implemented when human rights are not implemented, also implemented in the countries. And in Laos, maybe United Nations expect that they have reached only 5 to 8% of the SDGs. That's really a small number. All countries are far away from the end of the SDG goal in 2030 to make a better world. But Laos is more far than all the other countries. And therefore we stay here, therefore we propose a solution. Except for an example, instead of building more dams for the environment, it's more smart to build more solar panels here in the region. It's more smart, it's energy for free, and it makes less environment distractions. Or another thing is we need more public control. Public control in all countries, not alone Laos, other countries too, are very important to reach all these gains, this is SDGs, and for observe or monitor the funds spending here for the SDGs here in the region. Yeah, monitoring and public control. This is very important here. We will see how the development will go on, and ADL will continue the work. We never surrender, we never give up. Thank you for your audience. See you next time.